Hi, my name is Brandon Redler, and with Bulldog Rooter, and we are doing a video inspection of the main line of 3614 West Garland Avenue here in Spokane, Washington. Right now we are at the hub looking down into the city sewer. The main line of this house is just basically where everything drains into, down this line into the city sewer. We're at about 74 feet. As we pull back a little bit here, this is the hub. This is a concrete hub. This is the connection to the city sewer. So as we pull back a little bit here, we go into clay tile. Clay tile is placed in 2 to 5 foot sections. This pipe itself looks really nice. The only problem with it is the 2 to 5 foot sections tend to settle in the ground over time, and that they get offset. They either stair step up or stair step down. I'll kind of show you what those look like. There's a few minor ones in here, but basically roots can intrude through those sections. So as we're pulling back here, this section of pipe looks really nice. For an example here, there's a little stair step out kind of towards the bottom right of your screen. That looks very minor. It doesn't look to be, holding any water back or anything like that. There's no roots coming through it. The bottom of your screen is going to be to the kind of middle left-hand side of your screen, where the light of the camera is. Kind of bottom left now. So we're going to pull back a little bit more here. Right here would be just another very minor separation. It looks like it stair steps up just a little bit, not too terribly much. Continue to pull back here. That section looks pretty good. Looks like the bottom of the screen just went to the lower right-hand corner. There is a little separation here. It stair steps down, so it's not going to be too much of an issue. It's not going to hold back any water or anything. There's a separation that could have potential to cause some issue, just because, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of this screen, it's actually separated apart, and the roots that we just jetted out, you can see the little bits of remains of the roots down there. So over time, that could be a little bit of an issue. What we usually suggest for roots is, like what we did today. If they're real bad, do a jetter, but we sell a product called Rootex that will poison the roots, and that will kill every single one. So it looks like we went back to the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, which is the bottom of the pipe. It looks like maybe a little separation there. No, not too bad. Very minor separation. We pull back. Alright, so here we have another separation. Stair steps down. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. As you can see, there's not any root growth there. Alright, as we pull back here, here's a little separation right here where you can see this pooling water.
It doesn't necessarily look like the pipe is actually separated in this section. It looks like the tile itself is actually, maybe it was bedded on something, but there's a definite indent in the pipe right here where water almost looks like it's holding, but it is going over that fine. It is slowing the flow of water. Anything that slows the flow of water inside of the pipe is considered an obstruction in the pipe. That could potentially cause some issues. I could see stuff getting kind of caught up there. It looks like something actually just went down a little bit. You see it kind of go over that. It doesn't look like there's going to be too major of an issue, but it is there.
Pull back a little bit farther. And there is another separation there.
It's minor.
It looks pretty minor. It doesn't look too bad or anything. Pull back a little bit more here.
Another little separation. It's just offset. They start to settle on the ground over time. It's nothing too terrible.
There's another one. There's a little separation. You can see it really good here in the upper right-hand corner of your screen where it's actually separated a little bit. It looks like water's going through it just fine. There may be a little tiny puddle right there, but... And then when you have little holes in the pipe like that, that's where roots really like to get in. It's obviously their easiest route to get in with separations like that. Back.
So we just went through a couple of kind of normal seams. They don't look too bad. That one's another minor separation right there. Nothing too bad. We're still in 4-inch clay tile pipe right here. Another minor separation. Nothing we haven't really already seen. Still going through the 4-inch tile. It looks like right here is where we kind of ran into our main issue.
So this would be the main issue right here. It looks to be bellied and possibly, maybe even when we pull back into about right here, it kind of troughs down. So a belly is basically where your pipe is backgraded and you are holding water. Looks like you also have quite a bigger separation here. That's why it's holding all this water. It would be really easy for all the sludge that we cleared out of this line to get stuck here, obviously, because it's really not flowing that well. Stuff like, you know, your solids and stuff over time could probably build up over this, and eventually just create a blockage. And let's pull back a little bit more, and it looks like we're transitioned into 4-inch cast iron here. Usually cast iron is used inside the house. As you can see to the right hand side of the screen, kind of pretty much all of it, there's a hole in the cast iron right about here. You can kind of see the edge of the hole as you in the top right hand corner of your screen. Let's push back down it.
And you can see this whole section of pipe in the cast iron is troughed out in this section, meaning that it's actually rusted out in the bottom. And it's just very, very rough. I could definitely see how things can get caught up in this section. This is definitely going to be the most problematic issue right here. Most problematic area in this section of pipe. It's just very rough on the bottom. It's just rusted out. And then we go right back into 4-inch tile right here. So that cast iron, actually that is concrete, now that I'm looking at it a little bit better. So it goes into 4-inch concrete. That concrete looks perfect. It's very, very smooth. It looks like they had to offset it a little bit whenever it was put in to that cast iron, and that's why we have this little separation you can see towards the left-hand side of the screen. That's actually the top of the pipe. The bottom of the pipe is towards your right-hand top of the screen, and it's not really obstructing water in this part. The water pretty much just falls off this little stair step and down into that concrete, and then it goes into the cast iron section, which is the problematic area.
Pull back.
4-inch tile.
Okay, so we're back into 4-inch tile here. We have, this is a separation where you can see kind of to the left of your screen there's a tiny root there. It is a bigger separation. This is where the roots were.
This is where roots are getting into this section. It's not necessarily a bigger separation. It's just this seam is kind of pushed apart a little bit, so there is sort of a hole. You can see towards the upper left-hand corner of the screen just a little bit of like twigs left. I mean, we blew almost every single root out of this line, so as far as the line goes, it's very, very clean.
Pull back here. We're about 15 feet from the clean that we're working through.
So right there, it looks like we have just a little bit of, it's like a hole in the actual tile itself into a minor separation. You can see how that could kind of catch some stuff up and slow some water down. It is considered an obstruction to the pipe, but it honestly is sort of minor. I don't think that's going to cause too much of an issue. It's like mostly the main issue was that cast iron part right here.
So there is a separation that stair steps up. You can kind of see to the bottom right-hand side of your screen some leftover roots that we couldn't, quite jet out. But that's where all your roots are coming from is when that gets separated. Obviously, then the ground is exposed and the roots have their best opportunity to come up. In this pipe, we were dealing with a lot of sludge, which could have been caused by a blockage of that section of roots that was right there. This was, you know, our worst section of roots right here. So we're about 10 feet away from the cleanout, which we were working through, and again, to your right-hand side of your screen, there's just that separation with a little bit of roots coming in. You can kind of see where the sludge was.
So it looks like right here we have a couple little bulbs in the tile. I think that's just because it was set on some rocks or something like that, and got bedded down and kind of cracked it a little bit, but it's nothing major.
And then we can see we're back into 4-inch cast iron here.
Cast iron seems very rusted. It's very, very black.
And again,
it seems troughed out at the bottom as well.
Yeah.
You can see like we're going through a little bit of a river right here. It's kind of doing the same thing as the other cast iron we saw earlier on in the video. And it was kind of sludgy in this area a little bit too.
Yeah. Okay, so we're about 5 feet away from the cleanout that we are working on. Continue to pull back here, and now we're going up the cleanout. This would be the cleanout that we are working out of. Again, this was a mainline video inspection at 3614 West Garland Avenue. I am Brandon Redler, and thank you for choosing Bulldog Rooter.